Hello. What a start to the second quarter of 2025. I wanted to get out another video here for longer, more in depth and thorough discussion regarding what's happened so far this month, even the last 2 weeks. Maybe some about the why behind it, some possible outcomes, and also relate that back to portfolios. So this is primarily for folks who are no longer working. But I'm interested in sending out this message to everyone. So, with the announcement of tariffs and the back and forth, we've definitely entered into a pretty new way of addressing this economic topic. As we know, tariffs have been around for a long time. They're an economic tool. They still are used today all around the world. And what I really wanted to do, ideally, is separate some of the kind of fact from opinion that we're seeing out there, even though this is somewhat of an opinion as well. So the basic premise is that what the president's trying to do makes sense on the surface, aligning our trade with that of other countries to make it more advantageous for us, the United States, obviously more beneficial for us, more consumption of U.S. goods and services, more manufacturing potentially of goods and services here in the United States, and the ability to actually sell, more of our goods and services into other countries. What would be described as really truly free trade all around the world. Now, it sounds like what we would potentially call protectionism, right? Helping us to the detriment of others. But of course, we have seen other countries do this as well. In a perfect world, tariffs would be a zero sum game. Of course, they're not, and that's due to the fact that we're a larger consumer than we are a producer, and so that means we have trade imbalances with our trading partners out there, especially ones that are smaller. And that leads to what you would call a trade imbalance, where we are purchasing more goods and services than the other countries are able to keep up with. And so we have a credit, or a debit with these various countries. And having trade imbalances is fine. They've been around for a long time. However, large and continual trade imbalances is not necessarily a positive thing, especially if we're trying to even or level the playing field by having more of our goods and services produced and sold into other countries. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to start making jeans or T-shirts or some of the other goods that clearly can be made, for less expensive costs in other countries. But we certainly can look at reshoring or even beginning to produce some items here in the United States, especially ones that you would deem to be, critical for even national security. Obviously weapons, medicines, even computer chips and energy as well. All of those things, do certainly make more sense for us to, produce here. We saw during COVID, obviously, where countries who produce more of those things, particularly our medicines and our personal protection equipment that we saw, and when countries see crisis, they're obviously going to hoard those materials for their own goods, which makes sense, right? Countries at their very nature are going to be protectionistic when something like that occurs, right? What can we do, right? We're not going to sell our pickup trucks and SUVs into other countries. There's certainly not much of a demand for them. We like our big vehicles here a lot more than they do over there, but we certainly could sell, obviously, more of our technology and more of our farm and our agricultural products, right? We grow a lot of grain here. We raise a lot of animals here, and we certainly could sell more of those into other markets. So, again, on the surface, these types of things do make sense, but obviously getting us to the finish line is not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen with some, dislocation and some volatility. we've seen some of the tariff numbers that have come out be calculated in a very unique way, probably inflated, quite a bit. I've dug into this, and it looks like on average, we assess a tariff rate of about 2.7%, around the world to other countries, and other countries generally assess tariff rates anywhere between 5 and 7% on average, to us. So there certainly is an imbalance out there. It may not be as great as what has been advertised, but one, definitely does exist. So potential outcomes, right? We've seen already in the past week, tariff on, tariff off, tariff on certain things, maybe not on others. Obviously the news with China, and even over the weekend here with, some additional technology goods being exempt from tariffs. So we're in the thick of it, right? This is not new. You can go back. I saw that the president has been discussing tariffs and their effect on us and our economy as far back as even 40 years ago. So even though it seems chaotic, right now. I would have to believe that the goal is to improve our economy and life for our citizens, right? And this is not a political post. This is just something that obviously he has campaigned for. So we want to, show the rest of the world that we are serious. And one thing that the president is known for is coming in, with a big stick and hitting people over the head with it to wake them up and make them come to the table. And we are seeing that, right? Obviously, some of the risks that are out there. If more countries come and want to negotiate, as we have seen, a lot of them, then that could have obviously a positive, outcome for us. If we see retaliation, which we've seen, some countries come, most notably China, of course, but even a couple in the EU as well, and say, nope, we're going to retaliate back to you because we don't obviously like what you're doing with, with these tariffs, then that's, obviously not going to help, them or us, right? So the question is, how long is this going to last, and how much retaliation versus cooperation are we going to get? Of course, politics enter into the equation here. Not every country likes us, loves us. Not every administration loves each other, of course. So politics and economics don't always align with the same goals in mind, right? So some other outcomes. We know there's going to be some short-term pain at the very least. Could this be, longer term? Yes. What are some of the other, potential desires out there? One thing that I've seen here recently is that, we have about $9 trillion of debt that needs to be refinanced this year. And if you can do that at lower interest rates, then obviously that saves us cost. So is the slowdown in economic activity a way to see interest rates come down? If the Fed cuts interest rates, will that potentially have a more positive income or outcome? Yes, that could be, even though it might come at the cost of a recession, right? Never let a crisis go to waste is certainly a famous quote out there in the government. So, obviously we all know that our debt and deficits are a problem, and they have, not been getting better. We've dramatically increased our deficit since 2007, and it stands at levels that we haven't seen, since World War II. So if there is a way to start heading in the right direction, it's bold, and it will not be painless, but it certainly will have a longer term positive outcome. We cannot be a debtor nation. We cannot be bankrupt, at some point in time in the future. And so if this is a way to put us on a better fiscal path, even though the medicine or the surgery, causes some short-term discomfort and pain, you're, generally better off on the other side. So, a lame duck president that we've seen can be bold and do these kinds of things. Again, absent any, thing that you may feel personally, for this person or the administration. It can certainly be, a positive. It can certainly be disastrous, right? Even the best plans are run by humans, and we make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. So what we've seen is that the ability to pivot, has definitely been there, and more to come. We'll see what the outcome of this is. But patience is going to be very difficult for us to have along the way. So what should we do? As we've said, many times over many years, the first thing is not to panic. We have seen and lived through many market declines, many recessions, many what you would call crises, and every time you keep hearing it the same way. This time is different, and that can be said about every time that we have seen market volatility. The reason behind the market volatility is different, right? We've had Black Monday, we've had the dot-com bubble, we've had the Great Recession, we've had the pandemic, and this one will be another one on the list. Keep in mind, right, that your portfolio is primarily designed for income generation. We have taken your assets and allocated them into a portfolio that would be best described as a pension-like portfolio. Your stock percentage is lower than what you would see in just the S&P 500 or the Dow or the NASDAQ. You have bond and other income-producing assets in your portfolio. We have been proactive about making changes since we have experienced some pretty good recovery in 2023 and 2024 as well. We have decreased our exposure to what you would call the Magnificent Seven, technology, in favor of more growth or dividend paying. We have allocated some assets into some more unique investments as well that are holding up very well here. And what that means is your portfolio is defensive. If you have an income-oriented portfolio, we have been very defensive here, year to date, and even over the last couple of weeks as we have seen the market decline by almost 10% and then recover back as well, over 7%. So what we're tracking is a portfolio participation rate or capture rate to the downside, especially of less than 40%. And that's right in line with what we have been seeing. So there isn't anything wrong with our strategy. There isn't anything wrong with the investment portfolios. They are designed to weather our way through these kinds of volatile periods. Now, can it get worse? Of course. Can it get better? Of course. Trading in and around these kinds of volatile periods is very difficult to do, and generally not very successful. When the market zigs, a lot of people want to zag, and vice versa. We've seen time and time again that as the market has declined and people attempt to second guess or make changes on the fly, they're oftentimes certainly not making them at the quote unquote right time. It's obviously something that we understand. It's hard to keep the faith when you're hearing these terms in the headlines like crash and turmoil and crushed and recession and volatility and all of those types of things. The media doesn't do us any favor when it comes to market volatility, but certainly some things to remember. It very much is the tortoise versus the hare. Who wins the race? The long-term perspective. The data shows us, over and over again that emotional moves within portfolios or knee-jerk reactions do not provide us with the best long-term returns. There are study after study showing us that the difference between market and portfolio returns, especially those that are managed by investment managers like us, versus what you would call investor returns, people doing it themselves, and oftentimes with a very hefty emotional bent, underperform because it's like trying to catch a falling knife. You're trying to stop the participation of the declines in your portfolio alongside the market, without really care or concern for what the other side of that may be. And as we've seen just over the last 2 weeks, the market had a couple of days where it went down quite precipitously, and then a day where it went up quite a lot as well. Historic moves that we'll be talking about for years here. And so trying to time around that to avoid the declines, but also participate in the recoveries is very difficult. You have to be right twice, and it's oftentimes more difficult to make the decision to get back into the market versus getting back in. You actually have less confidence when it's the best time to get in. We've seen this again, time and time again. So managing emotions is more difficult than managing markets and portfolios. The best advice that I can give you is to recognize that there is an emotional component associated with investing. It is your life savings. We understand that. I understand that. We certainly care about making sure that your outcomes are positive. Don't ignore that, we are in this and have provided, good returns and income, over the long haul, despite, lots of market volatility that we have experienced along the way. Behavioral finance is more important, today with investment management than ever. If I had another piece of advice, it would be to not check your balances all the time. It's okay to be concerned. It's not okay to quote unquote panic and lead that to make some changes. So again, the data is coming out fast and furious. We are looking at it. We are keeping on top of that. We want more confidence going forward, not only for ourselves, but those who are coming up behind us, the next generation of which we all care about. These moves hopefully will get us to that, better outcome into the future. But again, not without some pain along the way. So if you want to discuss this more, I'm always available. There should be a link in this email in order to schedule a slot on my calendar if you would like to talk. If you know of any others out there that might need to hear this message, please feel free to forward this to them. If you know of anyone who might need some help, I'm here and available to talk to them as well. And as always, I thank you very much for your time listening. I know this was a longer video, not my ideal scenario. I try to keep them less than 5 minutes, but I felt that this one needed to be sent out. So this too shall pass. Keep the faith. Thank you.